Hello and welcome. In this tutorial we are going to talk about how to start your short story, piece of flash fiction, or novel. So before we get started on opening hooks, I just want to say that the goal of your first page should be to, number one, introduce your main character, the central conflict, and the setting. So if the setting is the year 2012 in Canada, then it should be pretty familiar with people. If your story is set in a fantasy world, you should make that clear using as few details as possible. You don't want to overload the reader, just give them a few hints about where the setting is, when it's taking place, etc. Now, in introducing your main character, you want to introduce them in a way that allows for growth. So if you want your main character to be really, really strong and really smart at the end, you can introduce them in a situation where they're facing something fairly dangerous and maybe they make a small mistake. They're not as well trained as they need to be to get the job done. So you want to introduce them to a point of weakness. So for example, in Harry Potter, the first time you see Harry Potter, he's living with his aunt and uncle and they're treating him horribly. So he's being treated like garbage. So that's how you start. How you end the novel is you see him with some success and he's making friends, etc. So, main character, central conflict. So the main conflict of the story. The short story needs to have a very, very, very tight narrative. You need to have a clear goal and you need to accomplish that goal in a very short period of time. So, those are the couple of things you need to introduce in your first page. Now, how do you start a short story? You need a hook. So, mystery shows, they do this in a fairly straightforward way. They throw a dead body or a mystery onto the scene. They show it to you, they tease you with it, and then you have to figure out, the main character has to figure out how that actually happened. So, I'm going to give a couple examples. They're all fairly similar, but that's fine. So, number one, ask a challenging question. Do you believe in aliens? Along the same lines, tell a story or a legend. It has been said that at one time aliens ruled the earth. Then you can go on to explain in your novel or whatever how aliens ruled the earth. If you want, that could be a hook for a first paragraph leading into a story about the alien who was in charge of construction of the pyramids and some obstacles that he faced and how they got resolved. Share a personal thought. I've always believed in aliens even if I haven't seen proof. So if you start with this, you're going to need to show why they always believed in aliens, or in the next sentence you can say, until the day I actually saw a spaceship on May whatever. You can talk about that, how eventually the main character actually had proof. What if? What if aliens exist and are alive right here with us? Describe a situation. I think there are aliens living at 64 Waycrest Road. Quotation. I was walking home from school when I saw it in the window. It was green and skinny with big eyes and a big head. It looked right at me. Now, if in the next line you had your main character talk to his friend and say, did you see that? His friend probably wouldn't have seen it. You need conflict. Introduce conflict as early as possible in the story. Then that character's goal in the story could be to prove to his friend that he did see an alien and that he's not completely crazy. So those are a couple of the main ways to start a short story. Generally, you need some sort of mystery or conflict. Mystery is always the kind of easiest one. It's not easy to write a mystery story at all, but it's a good way to open a story with a hook. People always want to know how a mystery is resolved, so by throwing one of those in at the start, it's usually pretty good. So those are your basic goals at the start here. You can see your basic goals in your first page of your short story, novel, whatever. And these are some possibilities for how you can actually start your short story. You don't have to start with one of these, obviously, but those are just a couple main ideas. So that's all for now on starting your stories. So thanks for watching.